John will give us a brief introduction on how to use an Alaskan chainsaw mill. Having tree, you have to cut down home. Why not transform it into something instead of chipping or burning wood? This is one method. Please help me welcome John with home milling 101.
I don't know about you, but I get really excited about learning new things, especially stuff that's slightly different than stuff I know already, and I can expand my horizons. I can learn new techniques, new skills, and just add one more like feather to your cap to be like, oh, I can do that. Now, I'm not an expert at very many things, but I have competency at a lot of things. And that's kind of where I try to shoot for, competency. I don't need to be a master at it. It's okay. There's a few things I really want to work towards mastering. But competency, just enough knowledge to not get hurt, to be able to help somebody else do it, and just have a basic idea. If I ever need to pull this out of my back pocket, I can do a thing. Well, another John, a good friend of mine, I helped him a while back, and then he's like, I have this amazing wood shop, and I have all of these tools, and they mostly sit there. So if you ever need anything, let me know. And I was like, I will. So I've borrowed concrete cutting saws from him, like 4 or 5 other things. And then he's like, well, you took down that tree. I have a giant Alaska mill. Do you want to use it? I was like, absolutely. A year later, finally get to the point where we can use it. And he loans me this amazing setup. So the idea of milling is you take a boar or a tree, just like we have all around us, that gets chopped down, and then you cut it down into usable sizes. So you see all of this woodwork around this room here. You have these windowsills and seats. Those are live edge slabs. And the idea is you see kind of where the bark is and it's not all squared off. That's the look we want in our house. We had to take down a giant Doug fir, 100-ish feet tall, that was leaning towards our shop, and it had some rot on the inside. We didn't know about the rot, but it was in this danger zone with like a 60-foot branch hanging over, and you could see the tree tipping over time. So we took it down, had some arborists come by, and it was wonderful. But this log they chopped it into 5 chunks between 12 and 14 feet long. But we've had a log through the middle of the back of our property for the last year and a half. And I've been doing construction and trying to remodel the whole house, and it's been in the way a lot. And I would love to park trailers back in there so we're not playing the shuffle. Well, I finally got the chance to get to it. So John loaned me his equipment, loaned me a nice trailer with a winch on it. And what you do is you pull a log up, and you can put it on a trailer or on the ground, and then you get it stabilized so it's not going to roll over on you. You take a ladder, so it's a fiberglass ladder with an aluminum set of rails on it. So you take those rails, and you set them up along the top of the log. Then you have these 2 sticks that you do to see if you can get true with your ladder. You don't want your ladder twisted at all, because that's going to be your guide for your saw to run along. Once you get those oriented, you screw your ladder in place, and then you take this setup. So this is a mill and sled, and you stack this on your ladder, and your ladder runs right in between this area here. Then you go and you have a willing volunteer, hopefully, to help mimic the end of the ladder. So you loosen your little set screw here. So this will spin freely. Check this out. Amy, will you help me real quick? Just hold that. And then you go through here. You hook it on this little knob. And then all of a sudden, you're not carrying the weight of a chainsaw. You're not having to make perfectly accurate cuts. Instead, you turn your chainsaw on, you hold down the trigger, and you slowly crank. And that is about the speed you're going. It is not super fast, but it is one of those very simple and elegant ways to do something. You're utilizing this chain, you're ripping through this log, and as you go along, you take these shims and you just tap them in gently on each side, maybe every 2 or 3 feet, and that prevents your saw from binding up. Because if you get too much material in there and you get a little bit of weight, the saw will pinch and it'll stop, and you can have it kick back and move around a little bit. But with this mill setup, it's pretty safe. The side of the mill here runs along one side of the tree and on the other, and you just can slice off sections. So when you have your initial round log, you take off one or two pieces, and those you basically get your bark off with one. The next one you get a live edge slab like we have on the sills here. And then from there, the options are yours. What do you want to do with it? Do you want to turn it into giant beams? Do you want to do like a 12-inch by 12-inch beam? You can do that. And you set that beam height right in here. These are adjustable so you can raise or lower to get the thickness of wood you want. Now you have to take into account that you have a ladder in here too that takes up some space. You can also get extensions for these to make them a little bit longer. But what I'm doing, go ahead, John.
What size of a log do you take?
So to start with, that was 38 inches in diameter. So about yay in diameter, big log. Wow. And there's a longer chain bar on here, so a longer blade that you can use. So the one I was using initially was here, and then you can swap that out when you get a little smaller. So we take this giant log, cut off 2 layers, and then we got to the point where there's a nice flat section, and then you have your rounded barked edges. So then you can take this saw and use a different little setup where this saw turns sideways and you do a 90-degree cut. And so you have that, and it's basically a 2x6 with a little aluminum rail on it, and you change it out so you don't have this this here, you just have an open blade, and you just run it along and you pare off this side. Then you flip it around and you pare off the other side. All of a sudden you have 3 square sides on a log, and then you just make your boards. Now for us, we're going to be doing trim for our entire house out of this tree. So we're doing similar to the trim here, all out of rough cut lumber. We're probably going to mill it down a little bit. And so I'm taking down 1.25 inch pieces of wood. So it's not quite the size of a 2x4, as you're used to that. It's a little smaller. But the idea is as you dry stuff, it shrinks. And then you take it through a planer and a sander, and you will take this piece. So this is the thickness that we're going to get. And then we're going to mill this down on each side and get it nice and smooth and flat. And then that's what we're going to put around the entire perimeter of our house, around all of our door frames and whatnot. And then we're going to take the live edge slabs that we cut out of these logs and make shelving out of them. So multiple shelves throughout the whole house. And so if you want to, this one's pretty light, easy to pass around.
Is that what you cut?
Yeah, that's one that I cut. Yeah, so that's out of the log. Now there was, in the center core, we had some rot going on. So we had about, at the very base, it was about a 5-inch wide circle. And if you imagine a cone going up about 10 feet, that rot kind of extended up. So when I took these slabs down, so the slabs are like 24 inches wide, there was a center core that was rotten. So I went and took a skill saw and cut each side. So I cut a smaller board so we're not drying and wasting time on rotten wood. So that's one of the pieces out of the side from there. So the idea is you take something that we normally see every day as we wander around Eugene. You have these amazing trees. A lot of times if they fall in a storm or they have to get cut down, they get taken and they get chopped up, they get shredded, they turn into bark chips, and they just get used for mulch versus something that's going to last hopefully another 200 years in our house. The house we're in is a 1940 house, and a lot of the wood from that is still viable. It's amazing. But we're going to update it with something that was grown on the property. So pretty excited about that. So I encourage you, like this chainsaw, it weighs a little bit, but it's not too much. But once you get it in position, your old granny can do this. It's not out of the way. It's human ingenuity, using levers, using wedges, and using our brains to make something that was be very hard to do with one person doable. John, you have another question?
Yeah, is that a special chainsaw or is that just a regular chainsaw?
It's a larger version. You can do them with a regular chainsaw, and it's not that far off. But it's just you can use this as a regular chainsaw all the time. It's just the extra sled and whatnot. Yeah, and you can put this down with this has a 12-inch bar too, and then the one I was using was a 52-inch bar, so almost the size of that table. And so you can use whatever size you want with it. You have to get a different size chain. The saw will run it, no problem. And you just have to make sure you fuel the saw, get enough lube in there so you don't have anything jam. And it's a pretty simple process. Just takes time, energy, and a little bit of ingenuity. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, John. Would you clean up all your stuff?